Analyst YouTube channel, and in this video we are going to solve two SQL interview questions, right? And the first question is from Facebook and it is available on the platform Data Lemur, and the second question is available on Lead Code, right? So one is hard level SQL question and the other is medium level SQL question. But I believe that if you understand the question and understand SQL concepts very well, both of these questions are really easy, right? So let us see the question, understand it, understand the data, and then we will solve the question and understand the output, right? So let's begin, right? So the first question is active user retention. It was a Facebook SQL interview question. And let us read the question and understand it. So see, assume you are given a table containing information on Facebook user actions. We have to write a query to obtain the number of monthly active users in July 2022. Including the month in the numerical format. For example, January will be represented as 1, February will be represented as 2, and so on. So they have also given a hint here. An active user is defined as a user who has performed actions such as sign in, like, or comment in both the current month as well as the previous month, right? So this is the definition according to which we have to identify the user who is active, right? So they must have performed either sign in or like or comment in both the months, right? So see. Now the table is called user actions, and they have the columns called user ID, event type, event date. And this is a sample table. That is how the data looks like. And this is the example output, right? So this is the example output for June 2022. That means there is one user who was active in June 2022 and the previous month, that is May 2022, right? So in June and May both, he or she must have performed either of these actions. Right? So that is how the question says. Okay. So I've already created such a table in my SQL server, and I'll first show you the table. So yeah. This is how my table looks like, right? User ID, event type, and the event date. So the logic to solve the question is very easy. Let us first understand the logic, create an algorithm, and then we will try to write the SQL query. That way it would be really easier, right? So first, what we will see according to each user, what we will see is we will see the current month event and the previous month event, right? What they have performed in the current month and the previous month. And we will also segregate the current month date and the previous month date, right? Then what we will see is if they have performed either of these actions, sign in, like, or comment in the previous month as well as the current month, then we will count them as active users and we will take the count of those users, right? So see, as in the example they have given for June 2022, I will also check for June 2022. That means the user must be active in June and May 2022, right? So this is how my logic flows. And if you have, of course, if you have any other better logic, you can definitely post them in the comment section, right? So that would be really appreciated. So see, I have used common table expressions, CTs, to solve this question. First, what I am doing is select user ID, event type as the current event date as the current event date, and I'm taking their previous event date and previous event type using the lag window function. So what lag window function does is it returns as the previous record. So what I'm saying is to get the previous event type, I'm saying lag event type over partition by the user ID, because I want to see the partition previous event according to each user. So partitioning the data by user ID and sorting the data by event date in ascending order, right? As the previous event, and lag of event date over partition by user ID, sorting the data by event date in ascending order as the previous event date. So if I show you this much output, so you will see that, so these are the users, these are the current event date. And now this is the previous event and previous event date. So for example, user ID 445, he or she performed an event on 31st of May 2022, that was sign in, but there is no previous event recorded. That is why it is showing null. He or she has not performed any event prior to 31st of May 2022. Understand this, right? Then for the same user 445, he or she has performed like and on 5th of June 2022. And of course, the previous event for him was 31st of May. So that is recorded here, right? So I hope you understand the data, right? What we have done in the first CT. Now what I will do is I will check the current event date should be June. Current event month actually should be June. Previous event month should be May. And the event, current event in the previous event must be either sign in, like, or comment. So now I will do the same thing in the second CT. comma CTE1 as, give me the, select the user ID, previous event date, previous event, current event date, and the current event from the previous CT, where, see, the previous month should be 5, previous year should be 2022, current month should be 6, that is June. If I am looking for the active users, monthly active users in June, so I have to check they must be active in June as well as in May. That is why I am filtering the data who were active in May as well as June, right? And the previous event and the current event should be either sign in, like, or comment. So to avoid writing multiple or statements, I am writing using in operator in SQL. Correct? So if I show you this much data after 2 CTs, what is the output? You will see that it will filter the data for the 6th month, that is June. So see, only one user is there, that is user ID 445, who was active in June as well as in May. Okay, let us verify it from the original data. This was the original table. Let us see. So this is user ID 445, right? And this is also user ID 445. We can very clearly see in May, 31st of May 2022, he has performed sign in, and on June 2022, he has performed like. For the user 742, there are also 2 records, but he has performed one event in June and the other event also in June. He has not performed any event in May. That is why I will not count that. And for user ID 648, I have only one record. That is not at all needed, right? So I hope the concept is clear till here. After that, what I will see, I will just take the count of users from the second CT, CT1. So what I'm doing is select month of the current event date as month. And it was actually not asked in the question to get the month name, but I'm doing this to understand one more concept. So if I want to see the month name, I have to use date name function in SQL Server. This function name might differ in different databases like PostgreSQL or MySQL. You have to check that. And give me the count of distinct user ID as the monthly active users. Now for which month this is the monthly active user? For the 6th month, because we have checked they should be active in June as well as in May. So the count of users will be active in June 2022. And then I'm just grouping the data by the month number and the month name. So if I run the whole query together, we will see that there is only one active user in June 2022. We can also show the year here. So that's how this question flows. And this is the solution according to SQL Server. And again, I have also solved this question in PostgreSQL. So this is the solution for PostgreSQL. You will get both of these solutions in the description section. Copy this question, try to solve it yourself, understand the data, understand the logic, and try to solve it yourself. If you have any doubt, come back to this video and copy the solution. But the ultimate game should be, you should understand the logic and must be able to write the queries yourself, right? So this was the first question of this video. Now let us quickly jump to the second question in this video that is available on Lead Code. Okay. Now the question is, the topic is gameplay analysis 4. Okay, this is a medium level SQL question. And we have been given a table called activity. The columns are player ID, device ID, event date, and the game split. Okay, these are the data types. Player ID and the event date is the primary key. Okay, combination of them. This table shows the activity of the players of some games. Each row is a record of a player who logged in and played a number of games, possibly before logging out on some day using some device. Okay. Right, so read this and understand the question. Okay, and so this is the sample input, right? So see, player ID 1 has logged in using the device ID 2 on 1st of March 2016 and has played 5 games before logging out. That player ID again, the player ID 1 again logged in using the same device ID 2 on 2nd of March 2016 and played 6 games. Similarly, user ID 2 and the player ID 3. Right, so I hope the data is very easy and clear. Now the question is, we have to write a solution to report the fraction of the players that logged in again on the day after they first logged in. Okay, that means they must have logged in two consecutive days, today and day after tomorrow actually, right? And the output should be rounded to the 2 decimal places. Okay. In other words, we need to count the number of players that logged in for at least 2 consecutive days, starting from their first login date and then divide by the total number of players. Okay, that's very easy. So I hope that question is very clear. What we have to do is we have to count the number of users and who have logged in for the 2 consecutive days. For example, they first log in today. This is the first login date and the next login date. The difference between these 2 dates should be 1. That means they must have logged in the next day after their login date. And then we have to take the count of such users in the numerator and divide it by the total number of players. Right? I hope the logic is, the question is clear. And if you have any doubt, just revise it, replay the video. So this is the sample input and this is the sample output. Okay. Right. So I've already solved this question here, and when I submitted it, it was accepted. So let us solve it in SQL Server. You can also solve it in different databases, and let me post your solutions in the comment section, right? So I've already created such a table, and the table is called activity. So this is the table: player ID, device ID, event date, and the game state. The same table which we have seen on lead code. So they see the logic. What I have used is, first I have calculated the first login date. Okay, so see, all my idea always is that before writing the query itself, I try to build the logic, understand the algorithm, then I will write the SQL query. So I think that is like easier for me to understand. I hope that's easier for you also. So what I have done is, so I have calculated their first login date and the next login date. First login date and the next login date using row number window function. Then I have taken the difference between the first and the next login date. If the difference is 1, I have taken the count of those users in the numerator and divided it by the total number of players. Okay, so let us solve it step by step again. So it is very intuitive that since there are multiple steps in this solution, I have to use temporary table. So I always prefer to use CT. You can also solve this question using temporary table. Or of course, you might have some different, really good, different or better approach. Please post your solution in the comment section if you have any other solution, right? So in the first CT, what I'm doing is select player ID, event date, and I'm taking the row number and partitioning the data by the player ID, because I want to partition the data according to the player ID so that I can give the row number to each login date. And I will sort the data order by event date in ascending order, so that the first login date gets the row number 1, next login date gets the row number 2, and the next login date gets the row number 3, and so on. Right? I hope that's clear. I'm not using rank or dense rank because if the user has logged in twice a day, so they will get the same rank. I think that that might not be a better approach in this particular problem statement, right? So if I show you this much output, what it will be. So see, for the player ID 1, he has logged in twice, right? 1st of March and 2nd of March. So the first login is getting the row number 1. The second login is getting the row number 2. Now, using the case statement, what I will do, I will create two different columns. First column is for the first login date and the second column is for the second login date. Okay. Since I only have to consider 2 logins, so I am easy. It is easy for me to use case statement. So what I'm writing is comma CT as CT1 as select player ID, give me the player ID, comma max of case when row number is equal to 1. That is when the row number is 1. This is the first login date. Then event date and as first login date. Now similarly max case when row number is equal to 2. Then give me the event date and as next login date. So if I show you this much output after second CT, see here. So this is the player ID 1. This is the first login, second login. For player ID 2, this is the first login and he has not logged in again. Let us verify that also. And this is the player ID 3. He has logged in on 2nd of March and then 3rd of in the 7th one, might be July, right? So if I show you for the player ID 2, we have only one record. He has never logged in for the next time. Right, so that is exactly what we are getting here. After getting this in the temporary table CT1, what I will do, I will just use the count of distinct player IDs when the date diff is a function to get the number of days between 2 different dates. So what I want to get the number of days between the first login and the second login. Okay, let us see the output first here. And yeah, right. So what I'm doing is, I'm just taking the difference, next login minus first login, right? So to get the number of days between 2 different dates, there is a function called date diff in SQL. Now the syntax might differ for different databases. Again, you have to check on Google. So what I'm doing is case when date difference between first login and the next login is equal to 1. Count those users. Count distinct. Case when date diff first login and next login is equal to 1. Then player ID n. Right? So when the difference between next login and the first login is 1, just count those users, putting them in the numerator and dividing it by count of distinct player IDs, count of total player IDs. And now I'm casting it to the 2 decimal places because in the question it was asked to round up the output in the 2 decimal places. So I'm again casting the whole output as decimal 10,2, right? In up to 2 decimal places as fraction. This is the column name which I'm giving to this division, right? From CT1, from this temporary table. Okay. So if I show you the whole output, it is 0.32 and that was the exact output which I needed. Okay. So let me quickly revise it. So we were given a table in which we were the player ID, device ID, event date, and the games number of games played were recorded. And what we were asked is if the user has logged in today for the first time and he has logged in for tomorrow, right? We have to count those users who have logged in today and tomorrow. And today should be the first login date. So what I did is I just calculated the first login date and the next login date using row number window function, took the difference between them, and if the difference is 1, I count those players and put it in the numerator and divide it by count of total player IDs. That is how I get to the output, right? So I hope the solution is clear. If you have any doubt, please post it in the comment section and we can definitely resolve it, right? And trust me, practicing on such platforms like LeetCode, Data Lambos, Strata, Stratch is always very beneficial, right? Even if you want to solve a complete end-to-end project, I have again another video on my YouTube channel. I have one more video on SQL and Python project, right? Wherein you will get the data set, you will write some queries in SQL and then you will write the same queries in Python. We have also taken care how to migrate the data from SQL to Python or Python to SQL, how to build the connection between these two, right? So everything is like, it is kind of an end-to-end project. Please do check out that project and it might be really beneficial for you to put it into your portfolio or your resume, right? So practice as much as you can. I'm also trying to build a SQL playlist, right? From complete scratch to the advanced topic like what is SQL, what is database, till window function, subquery, and so on, right? So do check out the channel, do visit the channel, and if you get really beneficial content, valuable content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. It will really help all of us to grow, right, in a positive manner. So thank you so much for all.